When I got on that plane as a young girl, I was so nervous, but that like sparked something in me. It's indescribable, honestly. It's such a magical experience.
Now I'm like, how many women can I take to have this experience with me? Hello. Welcome back to a Road Less Doubtful podcast. Today on the podcast, we are coming to you, well, I'm not, but she is coming to you from Egypt, from Sharm el Sheikh in Egypt, Rebecca Jennings. We are actually talking about all of the things close to my heart again. So adventure, stepping outside of your comfort zone, your self-trust, not letting yourself down, bit of solo travel for women, and how she sort of navigated building her business and leaning into that self-trust, and then how that stepped her to what she's currently doing now in Egypt. So I wanted to bring her on to talk about all of those things, and that is on the back of releasing the Egypt tour retreat, of course. However, there's some really cool nuggets of advice in here, so stay tuned. Hi Beck, how are you?
Hi, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm very good. Now
Good.
let's start with the accent, because obviously it's not Australian, it's not Egyptian. So tell us a little bit about your background, where you're from, what you do, and yeah, we'll go from there.
Okay, great. So I'm from Essex, which is near London in the UK. I'm a wedding photographer, which is mainly summer work, which is how I get to spend a lot of my time in Egypt. I've also been scuba diving since I was 20 years old, so it's a massive passion of mine, and I really want to share that with everyone. And a massive animal lover as well. That's a massive part of my life. So that's about me, really.
Well, that was a really quick nutshell. Okay, so which is fine. If you've been um, scuba diving since you were 20, I don't want you to have to give away your exact age, but can you give me an approximate amount of years that is for scuba diving?
Okay, so that would be 16 years I've been scuba diving.
Amazing. What made you get into scuba diving? Like, how did that start?
So actually, my family said they were booking a trip to Egypt. And as I always do, I'm like, what's the best thing to do in Egypt on Google? And my mum had already told me we weren't going to the pyramid side, we were going to Sharm el Sheikh, like the Red Sea side. And the first thing that comes up is scuba diving. And I have no idea what this entails, like that it's a course. And I just thought, do you know what? I'd love to see some marine animals because I've done safaris and I've seen a lot of animals. So I thought, let's go for it. Anyway, we did the course, and me and my brother, it was an experience. I wasn't expecting it to be so challenging. But obviously, once I got to Egypt and saw what was beneath the surface, I was like, the whole process was worth it. And obviously, since then, I've met a lot of animals and seen some beautiful things that if you're not going under the water, you'd never see. So it's amazing.
Well, firstly, I love that you just said beneath the surface, because with Mina, like, so our connection, yours and mine, is through Mina, who is going to be
Hmm.
the other person running this retreat that we're about to bring to life. And
Yeah.
the question that I keep getting is like, why Egypt, Emily? Like, why are you going to Egypt? You've not gone to Egypt. I'm like, well, I went to Egypt. I actually went to Egypt 24 years ago, but I didn't do the Red Sea side. I did the pyramid side. So I saw all of the typical Egypt,
Hmm.
and I love the water. So anything on the water is for me. And we called this beyond the surface. And so I think it's pretty fitting what you just said. But I love all of that. But I do have a fear. Like, I paraglide and I love being in the air, but I love everything nature because I
Hmm.
think it's really calming. But there's still that element that Mina's been like, Emily, once you get under the water, you'll understand. But like, I
Yeah.
guess I want to help other people. Like, I'm someone who will just jump into anything. So similar to what you did, you're like, Google, what's the best thing? And now I'm like, how many women can I take to have this experience with me just because it'll be fun and because I know that they'll be changed after it, even without
Yeah.
having stepped into it myself, right? Based on my paragliding past.
Yeah.
So, can you explain if you had any fear of the
Hmm.
ocean or underwater? Because England, it's not the warmest of weather all of the time, and
Hmm.
that kind of journey.
Okay, so for me, I wasn't afraid of going under the water. I had a lot of doubt in myself whether I'd be able to do it. You know, like you are in charge of some equipment, and I just thought, am I going to be able to do this? Am I going to be able to control it? But I had amazing instructors, and actually, once I started going under the water, I was fine there. I know some people do struggle a little bit with actually the concept of breathing underwater, but with good instruction, you can actually get over all these things. Um, I've completely lost my train of thought. I'm so sorry. What was the
No,
question you wanted
I
again?
hear that it. Well, yeah, the experience of that. So you basically alluded to like you didn't have the fear of going underwater, but some people really do. You know, it's the sharks,
Mm,
it's claustrophobia, it's
yeah,
all of those things as well. But also,
yeah.
it is usually comes down to the self doubt. So same for me. Stepping off the cliff to paraglide, there's that sense of self trust and self doubt that you've got to overcome. But once
Mm.
you did that, how did it feel?
I mean, it was amazing. Like, it gave me so much confidence in myself. It gave me a lot of peace as well, because once you're under there, I mean, you're going to experience it very soon and you're going to see, but you literally can't think of anything else. So those bills that need paying, that friend that didn't call you back, any of like life's daily worries, once you get under there, they are gone. So for a lot of people, it's like a form of meditation. It's a form of like finding the quiet in a busy life. So I'm really, really excited for you and the girls that are coming over to try it, because I think you're going to find a whole new meaning to like Zen and, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah, just you saying it, I'm already like I'm jumping out of my seat. Like I can see the posters behind you. I was hoping you'd be sitting on the beach so I could like be looking at Sham in the background so I could really be living it.
Yeah. You're just a little bit early to go to the
So
dive center, unfortunately.
I know, I'm so sorry, but thank you for coming on at this time.
No,
I
that's
really do
fine.
appreciate it. I
And may
really
I
do.
just say about the
Um,
paragliding, Mina told me that he's got like some friends over there that are doing that. I could never do that. Like I couldn't step off of a cliff
yeah,
and fly in the air. So I think it's two different things. You can either go up here, like in the air, or you can go under the sea. And for me, what you do sounds terrifying. Absolutely terrifying.
well, I think in that we should challenge each other. Maybe you'll have to come over here or we'll have to meet somewhere. Maybe I think Ireland and Scotland are some nice places. There's some good places in Europe that we can go paragliding, and maybe we'll have to take you to do that since you're going to help me under the water. So I think that's a pretty good place to start. What do you reckon?
Okay. I mean, yeah, I guess the brave thing to do, and especially to like show other people that they can do things. I mean, I'll do it, but I will probably cry. I'm just putting that out there. I will be so scared. Like heights and falling is probably my biggest fear in the world. So yeah, that would be really pushing myself to do that. But I guess if it helps people, yeah, I'll be up for it. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. Because usually that's
Okay.
that's the thing, right? Like a lot of people, not the crying. I mean, I cry all the time, so it's fine. But it's that fear. It's a feeling of conquering that. You
Hmm.
know, it's like a heights thing, but you'll get to experience nature in a different way too. Because nature in the sky, you get to fly with the birds and
Yeah,
you
of
get to be
course.
one with them. So you get to experience that in a whole new way. I
Yeah.
am excited. Like I'm super excited to get under the water. I've always just had like I love the ocean, but that deep ocean because I don't understand it, it
Mm.
does give me this sense of oh crap, like I don't know. But there's another part of me that truly believes. Like I've swum with the humpback whales here, and when I go
Wow.
to the beach, like I always see dolphins. So something that I would like to do in Egypt is swim with the dolphins over there as well.
Mm.
Um, but I believe like when you have really good intentions when you're in the water or when you're with nature, right? They somehow just know, and
Mm.
they're not there to hurt you and you're not there to hurt them, and it's
No.
just a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I think you just need to like enjoy the space together. Like if you give nature its respect, I feel like it gives it back to you. So yeah, you have like such an amazing experience, and like in the Red Sea as well, we have so much life and so much beautiful coral. I think your mind is just going to be blown when you see it for real life. Like it's indescribable, honestly. It's such a magical experience.
So, for people who say to me, why Egypt? Egypt is scary. Why do you need to go all the way to Egypt to scuba dive? Or, what are you going to get from there that you can't get somewhere else? What would you say to that?
Okay, so the Red Sea obviously is a relatively small sea. So with that, you've got a lot of life that's like condensed into a small area. So it's one of the best diving spots in the world because of the ecosystem. And also Egypt as a country is really special, not for like the history and the culture, the people as well are lovely. It's just one of those places that once people come, a lot of people's heart remains here a little bit. And a lot of like people that are from other countries that are here, we can't really explain it, but like we've been all around the world. And I mean, I always come back to Egypt. I've probably been here more than 40 times, not including now that I'm staying here a lot. I always come back. It has this really special thing about it, and maybe you're going to feel it too. But yeah, it just pulls you back.
I love that. I'm
Mhm.
so damn excited. I just want to start. I just want you to put like a GoPro on or your phone on, and can I just follow you around today? Because that would be amazing. I don't want to wait any longer. I really
Mm.
don't. Oh my gosh. So, do you do any of your wedding photography over there at all? Or do you keep that completely separate? You do that in your summers back home? And then, like, is there an industry for that there in Egypt at all? Or do you
There's not
roll that
really.
photography still into something else?
Okay, so there's not really an industry as such here for the wedding photography, and I'm really busy back in the UK, so I do a full season with the weddings there. But here I'm doing a little bit of social media marketing and branding and photography for the dive centre. And also, I'm working with local animal charities. So, like taking videos of what they do, making things for their social media. So, I am getting to use my original skills here, but for things that I'm really passionate about, like more about for my hobbies than for a job. So, I'm combining everything I love, like diving, Egypt, and photography, all into one thing. And it's really lovely.
I love that. Okay, I want to stay on that train of thought because that's something that I'm really passionate about is people not doing a job to just do a job or
Hmm.
feeling like they have to continue doing that forever because they have this one skill and that's what they know and it feels
Yeah.
safe. So, I'm assuming it all started with your kind of your first trip, your first scuba dive, but I would be
Mm.
really interested to sort of know how that all came about. And yeah, let's talk on that.
Okay, so I came actually to Sharm, where you guys are going to be visiting last February. And I came as a guest and I did some diving with Aquarius. And I really, really liked the sort of team feel and how they worked with the guests. And I actually felt like family from day one. So it wasn't like I was just a customer, I made good friends. And then I just kept coming back as a guest. And then I was lucky enough that they were looking for somebody to do their social media. And they knew already that I was a photographer. So the jobs I'd never done social media before, but the jobs kind of went together and they said, look, we're willing to give it a go with you. So obviously I took the job and then the rest is history now. So yeah, I get to do things I love every day in a country I love. So I'm very lucky.
You are, and that's amazing. But a lot of people wouldn't probably make that first step. Like you say, I'm lucky, or it was just easy, or it landed. However, most people probably wouldn't have done the first step of even booking the first scuba trip in
Yeah,
Egypt, right? Like you might have just followed mum and dad and done whatever kind of easy trip and not taken that bit, which would have not have led you to those next things. Like
yeah.
it's that really trusting the things that light you up, I believe,
Mm.
that make those things happen. And then things are easy.
Yeah, I definitely think that. Like the first time that I traveled solo, I was only 23. And I
Mm.
remember saying to everyone, okay, I'm going to work in Africa. They were like, what? You've only been to Egypt? You've not really done much? And I was like, no, I'm going to go for it. I need to do this. I want to volunteer. I want to help. And honestly, when I got on that plane as a young girl who had no clue about the world, I was so nervous. But luckily, when I got there, my team were amazing. The work I did was amazing. But that like sparked something in me. And it was like, you know what? It's okay as a woman to solo travel and, you know, a bit of planning, stuff like that. You can make it like your dream trip and you don't have to wait for anyone, you know, because one of the things that has been difficult is I do such a seasonal job that I get a lot of time off and my friends are in different jobs, whether it's shift work or, you know, 9 to 5. So if you wait sometimes for other people, you won't get too much done, you know. So you have to. I stepped out of my comfort zone. I said, I'm going to start traveling the world alone, which I have done up until this point where I'm starting to settle down a little bit now. But yeah, I'd say 13 years I've pretty much traveled the world alone. And when my friends have been able to come, that's been amazing. But if I could say anything, it's just, you know, you need to conquer these fears. Otherwise, they sort of hold you back a little bit. And I wouldn't have done half what I'd have done if I'd have listened to the voices in my head saying, no, you can't do this. This is scary, you know?
Yes, I know. I love that. If nothing else on this, that little 1 minute there was all this podcast needed, in
Oh,
my
amazing.
opinion. Yeah, so you're good. Your job's done. Um, because I remember like going on the. So I worked on cruise ships, and I did that at 19, 20, and I loved it. And then all of those voices in my head were like, okay, timeline, you got to come back, you got to get married, you got to have kids. And I don't
Mm,
even know where that came from. And I did that. But now I'm on the other side of that where that didn't quite, I shouldn't say it didn't work out. It all worked the way it was supposed to work. And I have my kids, but now, again, those voices were really strong: work, security, money,
mm,
do all of the shoulds. And yet I'm trying to navigate this different thing, like a random retreat in Egypt. And that's just come from like paragliding and then meeting Mina. And then you step on and
mm,
you talk to someone like you. And these connections and the things that happen because you take a chance, you're doing the things that you love, and life really, really changes. Down to like
mm,
the other weekend, I was supposed to go on a camping trip with a few girls, and I could get 4 days off, but they could only get one or two. And I found myself wanting to people please everybody else to keep them happy. And in the end, I messaged and I said, I'm really sorry, which I actually didn't have anything to be sorry for, but this is kind of what we do as women, whether it's in a marriage or a relationship or a friendship, like try to keep everybody else happy and self-sacrifice a bit.
mm,
And I was like, oh, okay, where should we go? And in the end, I said, I'm sorry. I actually have the full 4 days and I'm going to take it. If you guys want to join me for a day, that's fine, but I'm not actually going to sacrifice my 4 days. And I went for a solo camp trip. And the things that happened in those 4 days have changed so much of my life, which I'll probably talk about in another podcast. But I can't actually articulate the synchronicities that happened by doing that. And if I had have just given in to, oh, well, I'll make everyone else happy or I'll listen to up here, none of it would have happened. And that
mm.
happens daily, like in
Yeah.
small and big things.
Exactly. It's the little choices that you make. And I think if you just step outside what maybe society or what anyone thinks you should do, that's when I think the magic starts, you know?
I
We
think
have to
so.
just take a chance and just see what happens. And it's scary, but we have to do it.
Exactly. And if we're going to take a scary chance, tell me how beautiful, apart from the photos that I'll be popping up, like Sham and Dahab, like what apart from the beauty of the Red Sea, what else? What else is there that you just go, yeah.
Okay, so we have the mountains. So obviously mountains are quite spiritual to some people, and when you see like the Sinai Mountains, they are so spectacular. And actually you can climb one of them as well, which I'd highly recommend. It's a challenge in itself. I've done it once and it was pretty difficult. But again, standing at the top was one of those moments in your life where you're like, wow, I've done this. And, so I'd highly recommend that. But you've got the desert, and there's things here that I don't have, certainly in Europe and UK, and I don't know if you have in Australia, but like it's just different. Like the colors, like it's so peaceful, like yellows and oranges, like of the desert and the mountains behind. Then you've got the turquoise of the sea in front of you. So you're kind of sandwiched between two really beautiful natural things. And you're just in this like small town with the mountains at the back and the sea in front. And then like Sham and Dahab, they're really different. So Dahab, I think you're all gonna love because it's kind of a little bit bohemian. They have like really nice creative craft markets. So it's a really cool, chill vibe place to go. And then Sham is obviously more bustly, more like holiday makers, big hotels, swimming pools, stuff like that. So there really is something for everyone, like whatever you're into, there's stuff here.
And I'm someone who really, it sounds silly. Actually, I'm getting over the fact that I think it sounds silly, but I'm all for like love and
Mm-hmm.
belonging and like everybody getting along. And at the moment, I feel like the world is really separated and segregated, and
Mm-hmm.
everyone's pinning everybody against each other. And I guess something that I really would love you to share on is, I mean, you're obviously blonde, you're obviously beautiful. And sometimes when people want to put the two things together, being in a foreign country, and certain countries they, are more fearful of. Um, I want that to change in
Mm,
anywhere, not just Egypt, but we just ran a retreat in Lembongan, out of Bali, and it was the same thing. People were saying, "Oh no, not Bali," and it wasn't. It was just outside, but everyone was so lovely, and they had that little spiritual part
mm.
where they were just grateful for everything, and it's so beautiful inserting yourself into that. And I think especially, I'm going to say Australians, where we don't have a strong culture. We just have a mix of everything. It's nice to go and immerse yourself into something else, but I think we get very stuck in what we hear instead of going and listening to people who have been there, or getting out of our own way and getting a little uncomfortable in a safe way and experiencing it ourselves.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think everywhere in the world has places, that women need to be careful and things like that. But I think if you listen, like you said, to everything you read and everything bad that was said about anywhere, we'd never do anything, we'd never leave the house. So I think we just need to, be brave, trust in ourselves, know that we can do the right thing in the right situation, and also like research and knowledge. Like whenever I travel, I like to look up about the country, local customs and cultures, because you can help yourself to a certain extent to be more safe as a woman in these places. So, like to respect certain boundaries and stuff. I mean, luckily here the people are amazing, and I haven't seen or heard anything. So I know a lot of bad things can be said about the Middle East and things like that. But so far, it's been amazing, and it was nerve wracking for me, but it's been fine.
Perfect. Amazing. And do you think you're going to ever give up your wedding photography and just end up in Egypt full time, or traveling doing more of it?
Oh, it's a tricky one because I built my business since I was 19. So I've had it like 17 years, and it's been my life. It was my baby. I used to work in London in an office, and I just knew every time I got the train there on the Monday commute, this wasn't for me. So I've built this thing from nothing to a really thriving, successful business. I have so many loyal customers and, great reviews. And it's something, probably the biggest achievement in my life so far. So I think to say that I would give it up totally is a bit far fetched. I don't know if I'd be able to do that. We'll just see. You don't know what the future holds for you. But right now, I'm sort of doing the whole juggling act. So I'm flying between the UK and Sharm based on my work diary. And at the moment, it's working for me. It's something different. I go from like the beautiful culture here back to the hustle and bustle of near London, so I'm getting like two different lives at the moment. So it's working now, but we'll see what happens in the future.
Beautiful. And I like that you, even in that, realized what wasn't for you. So,
Mm.
the commute, the day to day, the this, and you went, okay, I'm going to go and start this for myself and really lean into that thing that I enjoy or that I know I can do. Because it wouldn't have been easy at the start to start that. But
No,
now you
it
can look
definitely
back.
wasn't.
Yeah.
It definitely wasn't easy, and a lot of man hours went into it. So I was working in the city, and then I was working all night trying to push my photography stuff, and then going back to the city. And I mean, I only did that for a couple of years, and then it was time like I could give up the city work. Um, Completely lost my train of thought again.
No, but it's the juggle. It's having that courage, the courage to lean into the thing you know you need to do, and then
Mm.
and know it's going to be short term, because again, it's the self trust, right? You knew somewhere deep inside that you could do it, even
Yeah,
if it didn't
exactly. And I
now.
think the cat. I think like my life would have been really different had I not made that leap and the risk into the unknown. I would have never been able to travel the world on like a 30-day a year holiday, you know. So I that risk paid off massively and gave me the most amazing experiences of my life, which I wouldn't have done so many had I stayed where I was. So sometimes, again, it's that leap and it's scary at the time, but it gives you everything you want and more at the end, you know?
Yeah. Has it done anything else? So, like that choice, the choice for your business or the choice to go and scuba dive, is there any other, because we can wrap this up pretty soon, pivotal things or moments or meetings or opportunities just by following that self trust or enjoyment that you can
Um,
pinpoint?
So I think one of the main things that actually happened to me that probably changed my life was my little cousin. He got unwell, and he has a terminal disease, and his parents were raising money so that he could go on a Disneyland cruise, which was really expensive. And so I decided to do something really crazy that I'd never done before. And I decided to book to climb Kilimanjaro. And I'm not a fit person, and this is really something out of my comfort zone. It wasn't easy, but when I reached the top and did it for him and I raised all the money, but also it was one of those moments where all the doubt that I had in myself went away. So, one of the main things where I used this whole like, you can't listen to the voices, and especially like I had some people that said, I can't believe you're going to do this. You can't do this, Becky. Was when my cousin got unwell and he's terminally unwell, and his parents, they wanted to send him on a Disneyland cruise. So I thought I need to do something crazy here to raise lots of money, because obviously the more crazy the thing, people get behind you, whether they want to see you succeed or maybe some fails, I'm not sure. So I decided to book to climb Kilimanjaro in Tanzania in Africa. And anyone that knows me at the time, I was not into fitness. I was not, the girl who you'd ever thought would go up there. I'm a bit of a wimp with some things, and I don't like heights. So this was like probably one of the biggest challenges of my life. And it was really hard. And every day I had doubts, like I made a video blog for myself to remember the feelings. And you can hear almost the self doubt and the upset every day that I'm not going to reach the top. I'm not going to be able to do this. And actually, the day that I reached the top was probably one of the best days of my life, not only because I did it and I've raised all this money for my cousin, but it was the fact that I remember one person in particular said, "You're not going to be able to do that, Beck." And I was like, well, yeah, I'm standing here now and I've done it. So, yeah, I think like if you ever get told you can't do something or you feel you can't, you've got to go and do it. Even if you don't succeed, you've tried, and that's the main thing.
Absolutely. And in that, what I mainly took was you were afraid of heights, but you made it to the top, which means you can paraglide, which means you have no excuses.
But I didn't step off the edge of any mountains. My feet were, they were on the ground. If you get me to do that, I will be so shocked.
But also in that, like you did that, you were so scared, but you did it because you had a big why and a big reason.
Mm,
But sometimes you need to be able to find that within yourself. Like, I mean, you did it for you as well to prove a
mm,
point. I get that. But sometimes we need to know that we can do those things just because we need to show ourselves that we can do the thing. And like you said, otherwise our world becomes small. Like, you don't, it's so cliche, but you don't want to sit on the sidelines because other
yeah,
people said to you, oh, it can't be done or it should look a certain way. And then you get to the end and you go, crap, it really didn't matter. Like, no one is
yeah.
even watching me now and I should have just done the thing.
Mm.
And I
And it
don't
makes
want to
you
do
feel
that.
like so much better as well when it's like character building, you know? So, like, I think the more times you push yourself, the worry and the doubt and stuff like that, it starts to get less. And it gets to a point where you probably don't even think to yourself anymore, like, oh, I can't do this. Like, you go, oh, I'm going to give it a go. Like, you change from like negative to positive. Like, so I do
Yeah.
believe that everyone should push themselves and just see what happens, you know, because it can only mean good things for you, especially with like
Yeah.
confidence and
Yeah.
worry and things like that.
I agree. And I'm definitely someone like, there's time and place for sitting and thinking about it and journaling on it and talking about it and relaxing into it and taking your space. But I do believe in that doing, you just have no choice but to fight that inner critic. Like everything that's going to come out that you can't override logically, all of that feeling comes out. You have to actually face that core thing that's been holding you back and then hit it
Exactly.
head on, and then you feel amazing. Whereas when you like do the other work, sometimes you can still self-sabotage. Like you can go,
Mm,
oh, I'm scared, and you can talk yourself around where you just don't go like fully in. But if
mm,
you'd have to step off the cliff or you have to go underneath and face this shark that maybe you're afraid of, you have no choice. Everything's going to come up whether you like it or not, and then you have to go
exactly.
through it. And I think
Exactly.
that's what's so fantastic, which is why I'm like so excited to bring this to people. And I'm just so grateful that you're willing to be a part of all of this as well. Like to have another person who understands that side of things and gets really excited for life that way. So thank you for being willing to give us your time on that.
Oh,
It's
thank you very
amazing.
much for having me. As you know, I was a little bit nervous about it all. And to be honest, this was probably a massive step out of my comfort zone to do this because being a photographer and I'm recently doing video as well, I'm always behind the camera. I've had zero experience of speaking to a camera or anything like that. So actually, you've shown me today that another thing that I could do that I probably thought I couldn't. I mean, I don't know how good it was, but at least it done it, and it's another thing off my worry list, I suppose. So thank you.
Perfect. Well, I'm glad you're very welcome. And it definitely was perfect. It was, like I said, it's always exactly what it's supposed to be. And so thank you for that. And, now if you get to use your voice to either help more women by being able to
Mm,
talk to the camera or, speak because you said, you're really passionate about the animals, maybe this will allow you to step more into that. So if
yeah.
I played my little part in that, I'm really happy for that too. So
Oh, that would be
if
great.
anyone wants to find you, in any way, where can they find you?
So they can find me if they wanted to have a look at any wedding photography. I am at Rebecca Jennings Photography. And if they wanted to look at my work here in Egypt, it would be Aquarius Red Sea. I don't actually use socials personally, which is probably why this was quite a big deal for me because I don't post videos and I don't do photos too much so of myself. So yeah, you can mainly follow the projects that I'm running and the work that I'm doing.
That's perfect. Well, thank you again, and I hope that I'll be seeing you very shortly in
You will.
person over there doing something
Okay.
heaps fun.
We'll look forward to giving you and the girls the most amazing experiences, and we can all go through the worry and the celebrations and everything together.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank
See you
you.
later.
Bye.